Alrighty, folks. I'm going to kick off this panel that we're doing here. I want to ask everyone here a question, all right? I want you to make some noise if you enjoy attending live speedrunning charity marathons. Woo! Yes? Excellent. All right. Now, have you ever asked yourself, man, I really wish I had more live speedrunning charity marathons in my life?
All the time.
I'm sure you have. And if you have, then you are in the right place because we are going to be spending the next hour or so talking about RPG Limit Break. So before we do, let's introduce ourselves. My name is Vonnie Vaughn. I am a staff member with RPG Limit Break. I'm the host volunteer coordinator. And to my right here are people that are pretty recognizable around these parts. Yeah. That is Puexel and Heroic Spirit Gamer. They are the managing members of the RPG Limit Break LLC. And then all the way down there at the end, we have Ashton Prime, who is also a staff member with us as well, does a lot of the tech for what we do here. So we're going to be talking about this live annual event that we do every year. It's typically in May of every year. And I want to start out by talking about just kind of our roots, the history of RPG Limit Break and where we came from. It is an event that dates back well over a decade. It definitely does have humble beginnings. It was basically started in someone's living room and then expanded greatly to having hundreds of attendees. So there's been a lot of growth and a lot of continuity there with the community. But I feel there's nobody better to talk about this than Puexel, who has been there from the very beginning and has seen it all. So Puexel, tell them about where RPG Limit Break came from.
Sure. Well, it's we can't really talk about the start of RPG Limit Break without talking about another event called Crystals for Life, which was another event that was held twice in Canada in 2013 and 2014. The 2013 event being just a Final Fantasy series marathon, basically all mainline Final Fantasy games and a few side ones. And then another one in 2014 that was just open to all RPGs. And then after the 2014 event, it became kind of clear that that event was not going to continue to a third year. Just because of the organizers moving on, and a number of Crystals for Life attendees, such as myself and I believe Alec, who's probably going to be hearing from a little later too, were at the Summer Games Done Quick event in Denver, Colorado that year, and we had a meet up at a fall restaurant to kind of talk about kind of what we wanted to do for our community if, assuming Crystals for Life decided not to continue. And I guess to kind of make a long story short, we decided to kind of start our own live in-person charity event that we eventually decided to call RPG Limit Break. And then we held a kind of a discussion on the SDA forums, the Speed Demos Archive forums, which is kind of the main hub for speedrun community activity at the time. And it was great to see a lot of support. And then the community was also pretty excited about the chance to do a mental health related event too, because that was a cause near and dear to a lot of our hearts. So just kind of by community discussion, we ended up settling on NAMI as our charity partner. And since at the time we were only expecting like 30 some attendees or so for our first event, it was important to kind of have stable costs regardless of how many people showed up. One of our founding staff members, Essentia, offered her home for our the venue for our first event, which had been where the very, very early Summer Games Done Quick events had been held too, and which was in the Salt Lake City area. So that's kind of how we started in that area, and then very, very, very quickly outgrew being at somebody's home. So then we had a number of events at various venues around the Salt Lake City area with a bit of a break during the first few years of the pandemic, but we've been back in person since 2022, and as of this year, we're looking forward to having our first event in the Denver, Colorado area this May.
Very good. Absolutely. Yeah. So Puexel touched on it. Obviously, we talk about speedrunning charity marathons, and you can't have that without an actual charity to benefit. And for many years, for RPG Limit Break, that has been NAMI, which is the National Alliance on Mental Illness. They're a grassroots organization. They've been around for almost 50 years that really focuses on the mental health advocacy as well as providing resources to those that need it. There's a helpline, websites. They have chapters all throughout the country. So that's something that has been really important for us. They've been a long-time partner. And as far as all of the limit breaks in history, we are on the cusp when it comes to this event that we'll be doing in a few months from raising a grand total of $1 million for NAMI.
Yep. Only need 20K more to
Yeah,
hit that million.
we're extremely close, and that's something that we are very proud of. But for the next few minutes here, I want to toss it to Heroic Spirit Gamer because I know that the NAMI cause is very near and dear to your heart, and I know you've got some thoughts on our association with them.
I definitely do. So Puxo already alluded to it, but when we first made the event, I actually wasn't even a part of that. I wasn't part of the founding crew, but mental health and mental health awareness and a mental health charity became a pretty core foundational part of our event and our identity pretty early on. And I feel like it's shaped our community in a pretty large way and how we handle ourselves and how we treat each other at the event and on site. One of the biggest things that I think makes us stand out is after the final game, the stream is not done. We have open forum for everyone, whether staff or volunteer or attendee, to get up and speak on mental health and speak on their journey or journey of those that cannot speak at the moment or anymore, or however severe it needs to be. And that has become a very foundational thing for us. We put a lot of effort into trying to make that a bit more content warning friendly, a bit more organized so that people don't feel like they're stuck there or that they are saying things they don't need to or don't want to. But we don't want to remove that from occurring, even if it is topics and things that are hard to hear for people, by whether small or large. And just in general, mental health has become just a part of our community. I think even if one of the feedbacks we do get about NAMI is that it's not international, and there really isn't a lot of international opportunities when it comes to mental health charities, unfortunately. It's something that we do somewhat explore continuously, but we're sticking with NAMI for the moment. Maybe better opportunities will come in the future. Who knows? But with our partnership with NAMI currently, 75% of our fundraising goes towards their helpline, which is actually a partially international endeavor. So we do try to make that as international as possible to include that part of our community as well.
Yeah, speaking about the community and being international, we do have folks that come from all over the globe to attend our events. So it does have that higher reach. But then you were kind of talking about with the community and you were talking about kind of the content warnings and just and that whole bit. One thing that we do at the conclusion of every event is like a testimonial section where anybody in attendance can come up in front of the camera, get an open mic for a few minutes, and they can talk, kind of get some things off their chest or say some things that are kind of cathartic in nature as far as maybe some of the struggles and some of the things that they've been through. And so I really appreciate that this organization gives those folks that opportunity to, and for a lot of people, it's terrifying, I'm sure, to be able to get up in front of a crowd like that. It's just you and a mic, and to kind of face that fear and to kind of just power through it and say what you want to say to a group of people who are listening to you. That is, that is, for me, that's a very powerful and a very significant portion of the event that we do every year.
Yeah.
So,
just to add a point to that too, something else we've kind of changed about that in recent years too is actually opening a channel in our Discord for kind of post-event testimonials
Yeah.
too, for people that either were at the event and didn't feel comfortable getting up on stage at the time, or that weren't at the event but were watching from home, but kind of feel moved to share a personal story about mental health too. We have made that as an option too.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, we talk about the event itself, and obviously we're wanting to let you know about what RPG Limit Break is, but we want to let you know what it's like as far as being there at the event itself. So let's talk vibes. This section is something that I'm going to be discussing. I wonder why. But yeah, so just to kind of give you, as best I can, an idea of what it's like to attend an RPG Limit Break event if you haven't done so before. It is a live speedrunning charity marathon, like we said, much like AGDQ that you're at right now, but it's definitely on much more of a smaller scale. Usually our attendees are somewhere in the a handful of hundreds as for each of our events. So for those of you that have been attending GDQ events for a very long time, and some of the ones when they were starting out were definitely a lot smaller. The Limit Break is a lot more like those older GDQ events, where just kind of the general scale and the size of the crowds and everything like that would be more similar to something like that. And I mean, if you look at everything that's going on here downstairs and whatnot, this is a sprawling event. There's all kinds of different things to do. This room is massive. You've got the arcade, you've got the escape room, you've got literal hundreds and hundreds of chairs in the stream room itself. And there's just big, and there's a lot of things to do, and that's great. But for some people, we recognize that it's almost too many things to do, or it's almost too much, So for those that are looking for something that's a little quieter, maybe something that's a little more intimate, that's the kind of vibe that we have at RPG Limit Break. And intimate is a word that I have here specifically noted because the smaller event, I feel like, makes it much easier and much more conducive to really connecting with a lot of the members of the community. Obviously, there are plenty of people here that make connections and have lifelong friendships, and sometimes even romantic relationships. People meet here and get married and things like that. So that's great and everything like that. But with Limit Break, as far as hanging out with a group of friends, really getting to know people on a deeper level that have your similar interests, maybe have some of your similar struggles or things like that, and you want to make that personal connection with someone like that. Limit Break is a fantastic place to do that. And I have made I've been attending every event since 2017 and have made several lifelong friendships from this group of people that I wouldn't trade for the world. It really is a very special group of people. And obviously I'm talking about the group of people that have been there, but as far as the community growing, as far as welcoming new people into the fold, that's another thing that I really like about this group, as they are very, very receptive to new folks, to bringing more people into what we do, making them feel at home, making them feel comfortable, making them feel like family. I think it's the best way to putting it.
Yeah, it's really hard to go to Limit Break and leave it and not know the badge name of every other attendee. We're small enough and close-knit enough that at some point you're going to be in some person's car driving for food, and you have not met them before, but it's fine. It's just how our event kind of goes. You will leave there knowing everyone's name, at least for another week or so until you forget them, until next year.
Yeah.
But it's how it goes.
Yeah. I want to talk real quick about some of the things you're seeing here in these pictures on this slide. So just to kind of give you an idea of what the general layout of a Limit Break looks like. Obviously, we have a stream room, and that's where we broadcast live all week long. We do have a practice room where there is, much like what is behind you here, a whole bunch of TVs set up where people want to get together and do races or just goof around or things like that. That's
Cough, multi-world.
yeah, multi-world. Yeah, Final Fantasy IV Paladin race. Yes. So that's a big part of what's going on there. We affectionately refer to as the puzzle room. You see there in the upper left-hand corner. There's usually like a ceiling-high stack of jigsaw puzzles, and people will make it a mission to put this 3,000-piece puzzle together by the end of a given day. It's something that's very intrinsic to Limit Break is the jigsaw puzzles. So if you like jigsaw puzzles, maybe that's a selling point for you. Maybe that's something. Oh, hey, you know what? I remember putting together puzzles when I was a kid or something like that. And so we definitely have that opportunity for you as well. But also in that puzzle room, I think there's a picture of it there, the mahjong table. There is a mahjong table there, always
just
going.
out of shot.
Last year there was a lot of Blood on the Clock Tower activity. I know Gamer's a big fan of that.
There's also plenty of Blood on the Clock Tower here this year, too.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
Exactly. So if you want more Blood of the Clock Tower in your life, Limit Break. I have a feeling that's going to be a mainstay for future events. So, and speaking of future events, Puexo alluded to it earlier that our events have been held in Salt Lake City, Utah. But for our event that we're having this year in May, we are making the move to Denver. Now, and something that he was talking about as far as why we were in Salt Lake City was because, this literally started in someone's house. Like, all the equipment was there. Like, all the CRTs that we would play on got stored in their attic. So it was obviously very local and centralized to where they were. But as the event grew and we moved to event spaces like this, we downsized equipment. Obviously, CRTs, unfortunately, bite the dust. So those get reduced and get replaced with the monitors and the retro trinks and whatnot. So a lot of the equipment has changed, but there were some other things that did as well. Gamer, I want you to talk about a lot of things that really motivated Limit Break to relocate.
Absolutely. So we've been toying with the idea of getting out of Salt Lake for a few years, actually. Pandemic area and political climate kind of was bringing out the worst of Utah as a state, also increasing costs in general, to be honest. So we were already putting it on our agenda to discuss that. Coming out of COVID, we didn't get back to our usual time frame. We usually have our events in May for Mental Health Month, and just due to contracts and how we were working it out with the hotel at the time, delaying and furloughing essentially our contracts. When we returned in 22, we were in October actually. So we were trying to pace ourselves back to May, and then once we were back in May, then consider the move. And it all kind of came to a head with Utah passing a lot of very unfriendly LGBTQ bills almost right before our event this year. Last year. It's last year now. And so we had to pretty much formalize it pretty quickly. Okay, yeah, we already were thinking of doing this, already pretty sure we were going to do it. Now we have to do it because it's time. So we're going to be in Denver. It's going to be a much more safer environment. We had a lot of attendees, a considerable number of attendees for us particularly, that had to back out, and even if they did come, they were still concerned. So that should all be good and safe now. We're in a much better environment. We're in a much better locale in general, with being able to have walking distance instead of driving distance to things around us. And it's also just generally cheaper for pretty much all of us, in theory and hopefully, whether it's hotel rooms or the hotel cost itself or food or what have you. So it should be a improvement across every single spectrum for us moving forward.
Yeah. And, I'm glad you touched on that. Something I was going to talk about during the whole vibe section is just kind of the general makeup of the community. And much like it is here at GDQ events, there is a significant portion of our community that is LGBTQ. And that's something that we That's something that we embrace. That's obviously something that we that we appreciate about the folks that are part of what we do. And we don't. Yeah, I mean,
It's become too ingrained with speedrunning community as a whole.
Yeah.
It just simply has.
Yeah, yeah. So for those of you that are, I mean, obviously, if you're attending an event like this, a lot of folks here are very, receptive and show lots of love for those in the LGBTQ community, as they should. And Limit Break is no different in that regard. So, and so much so that we decided to move it to another state to accommodate those folks. Yeah, because unfortunately there were several friends of mine. I mean, this impacted me personally. Several friends of mine that I would have loved to have seen last year, and they're like, I can't set foot in that state, and that's heartbreaking.
Yeah.
You know, and we did not want to continue to have that be the case, to kind of foster that environment where there is a significant and very well-loved and respected portion of our community that didn't feel safe attending our events. That would be, especially one where we are focusing on mental health and mental health charity and things like that. We didn't, that kind of ran counter to to what we wanted to do as far as Limit Break goes. So, but speaking of what Limit Break does here, we do speedruns, but specifically of role-playing games. And it's one of the many things that makes this event unique, because it focuses mostly on a specific genre. And maybe this is just me, my personal thoughts, but I feel like RPGs are rather underrepresented in marathon events, and a lot of that honestly has to do with the time of these runs. You know, if you have these smaller online marathons that are only 3 or 4 days long, and you've got a run that takes 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 hours, especially if it's ones that are taking nightly breaks, which I feel like a lot more of these online events are doing that. It's really tough to commit, basically like half a day or more to just one person or one run. And I get it, but we also embrace that. That is something, I know I've said it at events before, like, those of you feel like you have like a misfit run that you do, come to us. We will be your happy home for the runs that you do. And nobody better to talk about RPG speedruns than Puexel, who has done so many of them at a high level over many years. So, Puexel, tell them about the happy home that we have.
I just want to cut in real quick. One of my favorite things from our 24 event, we had a day where there was 3 games in the whole day.
Yeah.
That's the epitome of our event. But yeah, please continue, Puexel.
Yeah, so I mean, so in addition to being a kind of a co-founder and co-owner of RPG Limit Break, I'm also the head of the games committee, and I'm also a member of the games committee for Games Done Quick as well. And through my work on that, I mean, it's very, very obvious that getting an RPG into Games Done Quick is very competitive. I mean, Games Done Quick is an event that's designed to have a little something for everybody, and because we want to represent everything. I mean, that kind of limits specific genres to only a certain number of hours. Like, I typically expect to see like 12 to 15 maybe of hours of RPGs in a typical GDQ schedule, maybe a little more, maybe a little less. And given that RPGs are often multiple hours long, that's not a lot of games that get onto each schedule, unfortunately. But then our event, RPG Limit Break, instead of like 12 to 15-ish hours of room for RPGs, we have about 150-ish hours of room for RPGs. So that just gives us a lot of freedom and flexibility to kind of take more risks on games that maybe aren't really going to be like the best at raising donations, because they don't have like lots of really nice built-in incentives, or it's kind of straight a gray area, if you could even call it an RPG at all. Like, we've definitely had some kind of somewhat out there games as far as whether you'd really call them an RPG or not. But the beautiful thing I say is that since day one of this event, we have not tried to objectively define what an RPG is, as far as trying to kind of inadvertently paint ourselves into a corner about what types of runs or other content we can take. If you think it would be a fit for a marathon designed to cater to fans of RPGs, then submit it. I mean, got nothing to lose there. And yeah.
I will say one of the surprising standouts in the how does this fit category is all the randomizers. We have such a large randomizer community as part of RPG Limit Break, both in the online, the private practice or the public practice rooms, just people playing, but also we have the ability to showcase them on the main stage for us as well. So yeah, it's a wide spectrum of types of runs that fit the mold.
Yeah. The randomizer races are some of when you're in the stream room when they're happening. They're some of the hypest runs. Because obviously you want to try to be quiet because you don't want to give away anything that's going on, but you also can't help it because obviously you don't know when something major is going to happen that's really going to tip the scales in favor of one runner or another. So kind of trying to have that excitement but also contain it as well is a very interesting dynamic when you're watching those kinds of races. It's very cool. And I'm glad you mentioned that, as far as defining what is an RPG, don't be discouraged. If you feel like you have a game that fits that genre, not only submit it, but make your pitch. If you think it's something that's on the fringes or something that's maybe, RPG tangential, whatnot, convince the game committee that, this belongs in your marathon. Not just because of the quality of your play and the game is very entertaining or visually pleasing or whatnot, but also that it is something that fits in with the somewhat specific genre of what we do. We don't want people to deny themselves the opportunity to potentially participate in the event because you're like, I just don't think it's right. Let them make that determination. Okay? Don't do it to yourself. So just wanted to make sure I touched on that. Now, as far as everything that goes on with the event, broadcasting the games, raising the money, bringing it to you live for an entire week. Obviously, this would be completely impossible to do if it wasn't for all the folks that are very generous with their time in the form of our volunteers. Okay, the volunteers that are required to make a charity. I mean, they're the lifeblood of any charity marathon. And kind of just the general volunteers that we need aren't much different from GDQ. But for folks that want to do volunteering in person, sometimes it can be tough to get your foot in the door because there's so many people that want to do it. And, that's great. You obviously want to have a lot of people that are enthusiastic about taking part in an event like this, where you're raising money, doing good, all that stuff. But sometimes it can be difficult to kind of get your foot in the door. RPG Limit Break is another opportunity for folks that want to do that. Everything from, hosting to doing stream tech, audio tech, even things like, if you want to help out with donations, check-in, things like that. Like, we have all of those needs. And for those of you that want to get that in-person experience, Limit Break is another fantastic opportunity to do that. But as far as the specific roles, what we're looking for, and what goes into that gamer, I want you to talk about that. What kind of roles do we have for folks that want to get into helping out with what we do?
Yeah, absolutely. So if anyone's familiar with or volunteers for Games Done Quick, it's honestly, we're almost one-to-one in terms of the kinds of roles we offer. Our tech crew is not as expanded, but otherwise we're pretty close. So we have donations. Here on GDQ, it's largely in person. For us, it's largely remote, actually, just because it kind of makes sense for us to take more remote volunteers there with attendance numbers being what they are and volunteer numbers being what they are. We prefer to have our volunteers working on things that have to be on site, and we can make remote work for that, so we do. And we have hosting, as Wani can attest to. We have cleaning, we have safety, we have quite a number of tech roles. We have stream stage audio, much like GDQ. But then beyond that, we just simply have producer and interview tech. Interview tech is one person, and one person mans and staffs all of interview at a time. It's not like a whole crew like they have here. We keep it pretty simple, at least at our current production level anyway. I think it's everything. Oh, check-in. I guess we have check-in as well, yeah.
Sure.
One of my favorite...
Cleaning and safety.
I mentioned cleaning and safety, yeah. One of my favorite things actually to mention is that I don't want to say we have like lower standards, but like we have a lower barrier to entry, I feel like, for our roles. We're more willing to bring people on that just want to learn and take some risks because we had the time to teach you, because we have 6-hour-long runs. We can just sit there and just let you play with the OBS a little bit without transitioning, or let you on the audio mixer, or show you things, and it's not really that big of a deal, honestly. So my claim to fame for this event is that out of the 15 audio tech volunteers at Games Done Quick this event, 7 of them are from us.
I knew that was going to be mentioned. I just knew it. Yeah.
So if you round up, we're half. So that's just as an example. But yeah, I think we have... I don't know. I just think in general, it's so similar. We use the same systems. We actually use the tracker that Games Done Quick uses as well. And we use a fork of their older layouts. So like, there's a lot of crisscross, there's a lot of similarities, but we just don't have as much pressure for us. It's a lot more willing to learn, willing to teach, and willing to have new people show up and help out.
Yeah. So, were you going to say something?
No?
Yeah. So I think you covered all the in-person volunteer roles. Then, like you mentioned,
Sure.
the donation station is usually done remotely now. And then I think it's also chat moderation and social media, I think, are the
That's
the
true.
other,
Yeah, the other
kind
two
of
remotes.
primarily remote volunteer roles
Yeah.
that we offer too.
Yeah. And a lot of that was, I mean, obviously there are those are roles that don't need to be on site, but for ones that where we kind of had that option, and obviously a lot of this was born from trying to, get the event back on track as a result of the pandemic, where there was a lot of things that we kind of had to shift to online because, it was a lot of people still felt unsafe traveling, unsafe being in large crowds, groups of people, whatnot. But we still wanted to make sure, we still wanted to make sure that they had the ability to participate, that they were able to be included in what we do. We didn't want to discourage what again was a significant portion of our established community from being a part of what we do. As the host coordinator, I'll just take a minute real quick to talk about my particular department. For those of you that are not familiar with the Games Done Quick, as far as their hosting process, it is very rigorous, and it needs to be, honestly, because they get tons of applicants. This is, it's very visible, and they have a they have a very like I said, rigorous process for evaluation for what they do. Limit Break, not so much. It is much more laid back. It's basically just me, giving the feedback, working with folks, and whatnot. Although I suppose that's not true. We've gotten this far into this panel, and we haven't mentioned an extremely treasured and valued member of our staff and our community, and that's someone that, for those of you who are longtime members or watchers of GDQ, this name will be familiar, and that's Bob the Ninja Goldfish. He is our volunteer coordinator manager. So all of us kind of in those departments kind of report to him, and he's very involved with that, the hosting too. But yeah, so for those of you that maybe were looking for something a little more low key when it comes to doing an audition for hosting and whatnot, Limit Break provides that. So it's usually just about a 5-minute long or so recording that you do we give you some blurbs to read. We want you to tell us about yourself a little bit so that we kind of know who you are, links to the community, because obviously those things are important as well. And that's pretty much it. And we do have several of our hosts that are offsite, that are online. So if you want to be involved in what we do, but you cannot attend or whatnot, and you still want to be a part of it, there is that opportunity as well. So wanted to make sure that I made that point. So, okay. Now, as far as this whole event that we do, well, where can you watch it? Twitch.tv/RPG Limit Break. But the channel is much more than just the weekly annual event that we do. We have all kinds of different things that go on the channel, and those are community events. We started a regular podcast series where we will interview members of the community and talk to them about their runs that they're doing, maybe delve into some tech and whatnot. We've got we've people that want to do tournaments or races or things like that with RPGs. A lot of it is randomizers too. That happens on our channel. There's all kinds of different content. And Ashton, I want you to talk about this because you obviously run a lot of the tech for it and you head up a lot of these things. But yeah, the random encounters, the side quests and whatnot. Tell these folks what that's all about.
Yeah, absolutely. We obviously have the big main event that we've had for however many years, but within the last year and a half or so, we've tried to do more specifically RPG Limit Break themed shows on our Twitch channel. And honestly, leading the charge for that, everybody has wanted it, but leading the charge for that and doing a lot of the work of organizing and making it happen is the Sid, who's just been amazing at finding people to come and do things. But yeah, these are fully remote. Everybody calls in, everybody connects to my computer at home, and I get to press all the buttons, and it's fun. And we can do various things. We've got, as you see on screen, we've got just podcasts, just friends sitting around talking about a thing that they're excited about, talking about the newest game or strats in a series or any of that. Side quests, which are a similar idea, but usually with a run involved. So somebody specifically running, what is one that we just did? They've all fallen out of my brain. It's great.
Dragon Quest 3 HD was the latest one we did.
Great, yeah. So getting a runner and a game and just letting them showcase the game just in the middle of the year because we want to and it's fun. Usually we try and theme these around what's happening in the community, what games are being released, and other things like that. And specific to that is kind of the random encounters. These are where we have a specific really cool opportunity to work with the games creators, get a sponsored stream going basically to showcase a game. Usually this is with it releases when they're putting the money towards those kind of sponsorships, but we're open to anything else, give Gamer a call or an email. That's he handles those kind of sponsorship things. So those are the kind of things that we're doing on the channel. But there are a whole lot of other community events that happen on the channel as well.
Yeah,
Funny.
Yeah, I know we had a marathon recently where it was just a weekend or 3 days or so where it was just Suikoden runs. There was an event that we did. It was a tribute to someone who passed away. I can't remember who that was.
Moriyama.
There you go. That's what it was. Yeah. So we got together a lot of the games that Moriyama worked on and kind of did a tribute to him. So it's cool little things like that. As far as the podcast goes, in addition to doing the hosting, I also am part of the interview team there as well. And so a lot of the interview folks will be the ones doing the interviews on the podcast. And there was one that stands out because I got my interview subject to bring his pet skunk on air to say hello, and that was an utter delight. So you never know what you're going to see on RPG Limit Break as far as the content that we've got
Live
there.
Kitty TV, I think, featured in that same episode
yes,
too.
Indeed, yes. So yeah, there's a lot of really cool stuff that we do on the channel all year round. So it's nice to be able to have that continued activity that we have there. Now, something else I wanted to talk about, just because I'm looking out here in the audience, and I see a lot of familiar faces here. And they're familiar because they're also staff members with RPG Limit Break. We talked about before all the departments that we have here, and we have we have a few of those coordinators, the people who head up those departments here. So there's plenty of roles that, as we talked about before, but for those that head those up, I'd like to invite you to come up here if you would like to talk a little bit about your department, what it is that you do, and if there are folks that maybe want to learn a little more about what you do. So, Ambly, you want to come on up? Yes. This is the lovely Ambly. Ambly is our prize coordinator for just much like for.
Yeah, there I am there.
Yes.
Hi. I don't know if you can see me on camera. Might have to scooch in a little bit here.
Okay, sure.
Yeah, get a little cozy here. But my name's Ambly. I am actually the prize coordinator for RPG Limit Break. And much like GDQ, when you donate to our event, there are tons of amazing prizes that you can win. I think one of my favorite...
Buster Sword.
Yeah, Buster Sword. We had a Buster Sword last year. That was fantastic. Very heavy.
Yes.
As one can imagine a Buster Sword would be. But probably my favorite part about that is just seeing all of the amazing and creative things y'all come up with to submit for prizes. Like, yes, it's fantastic to get things like Buster Swords from companies and professionally made plushes and things like that. But the sheer creativity a lot of y'all have with the things that you make. I think one of them last year was that Zeromis cross stitch that somebody made. That thing was amazing. So if you like prizes as much as I do and you like making stuff and submitting stuff, please think of us too. Prize submissions. Actually, I don't have a flyer in front of me, so I don't remember when they open exactly. But we'll let you all know when they open.
March 16th is the answer to that.
Yeah, March
question.
16th. Yep. We do have flyers to give out to people here with all of our event dates on it too, just so y'all can remember. It's also on our website and everything. But I'll be the one.
RPGLimitBreak.com.
Yeah, RPGLimitBreak.com. But I just wanted to introduce myself so y'all know when you're talking to that mysterious person for the prize submissions, I'm the one you're talking to. So.
And I think what's so cool about the prizes is that we have a very multi-talented community. And for those that maybe don't want to get up in front of a mic and host, or don't want to press buttons that are dependent on what you see there on the stream, but maybe they're really good at knitting or really good at making perlers or whatever else it is, it's a great way for folks to be able to contribute to what we do in their own unique way. And that's one of the things I just really appreciate about what this event allows, how it allows for people to contribute to what we do here. So next up, we're gonna have Alec come on and talk.
Yes, hello everyone. I'm Alec K47. I am the former volunteer coordinator way back when. I'm one of only a couple founding staff here at this event, but it's been really interesting to see RPG Limit Break grow and change over time as an event. We had a very basic setup at first because we had a small budget, and how much our tech, our community, our runs have evolved over the years because we've been doing this since 2015. And a lot has changed since then, for better and worse, for the event and the world. And now we're coming full circle in a way, going back to Denver after having pho and talking about what we wanted to do if Crystals for Life stopped. And it's been a wild ride, one I wouldn't trade for anything in the world, including having so many online volunteers at donations, because we can be flexible like that. And I want to say I appreciate that people are volunteering even if they can't make it to the event. So it's been a fun ride. I hope we can do this for many more years, and let's see what the future brings. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah.
I think we need to find out if that pho place is still around and make a pilgrimage.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Where it all began.
I looked, and unfortunately, I didn't see it.
And I feel like the fact that it's a pho place is specifically important. Like, if y'all would have went to, go get sandwiches, then maybe Limit Break wouldn't be what it is today. I don't know. Who's next? We got the Sid. He is our interview tech coordinator.
Yeah, I kind of wear many hats, but I do interview tech coordination. So basically, I handle the tech for the interview team. We're kind of calling the content team now since we're doing a lot more online stuff, more akin to a hot fix. But basically, content team handles the interviews on site, and we're looking to branch out and do a little bit more off site, out in the other rooms, do some more stingers like they do here. The other thing I handle is a lot of coordinating random encounters, side quests, the off-site content. One thing is I've got a very open door policy. I'll try anything once. So if you have any ideas of shows you want to run by me, games you want to run, I'm a lot more flexible with stuff until games committee shoots me down. So you can bring anything to my door. I can't promise that it'll make it back out, though. Also, you can find me in the Discord, and I have my DMs open, so feel free to message me. I've been trying to schmooze around and talk to a bunch of people and get some people interested. Ideally, the random encounter contents has about a 2-month plan out, so if you do need to take days off for that kind of thing, or need to have it scheduled well in advance so you know it's coming, we are good with that. We don't do it last minute, just so you guys know. Am I missing anything? No, you're good. Sounds good to me.
Yep.
If you have any further questions, DM me and I'll answer them for sure.
Cool. Alrighty. Thank you, Sid. Next, we have Dowolf, who's going to come up and talk about what he does.
Yeah, hi. So, I'm Dowolf. I am the check-in coordinator. So, obviously, this is a great role if you are just looking to start out, don't really have a lot of technical skills, but just want to start out volunteering. Half the job is basically just sort of being there, helping out anyone who comes in the doors, has questions, like, what is this event even? And you can just be that first line of contact to introduce RPG Limit Break to them. So just a little bit about myself. Real quick little thing about myself, too. Like, I started 2016, first event. I knew literally no one here. And basically, I'm just in the corner of the stream room on the setup day, practicing my game, and one of Essentia's children just sort of comes over and says, ooh, do that level, ooh, do that level. And then from there, met Essentia, met everyone here, and now, this is one of my favorite things every year, to just come out and get to see all of my friends from this event again. So, cannot recommend it enough.
Yep. I'm glad you shared that, kind of just that one little anecdotal thing that it was just a very minor thing, and it has blossomed into you being entrenched so deep into our community. And that is emblematic of what Limit Break is all about. I appreciate you sharing that. Thank you.
No problem.
Yeah. Next we have Wells JC, who's going to amazing toaster.
Making a surprise appearance.
We have a fun time with lookalikes at Limit Break.
We
not only myself and Wells.
Doppelgangers are a thing at Limit Break. Yes.
So I'm the stage tech role coordinator for Limit Break. My volunteering journey actually started out with them in 2018. I did some donations and some tech. At that point, tech wasn't quite as well delineated as it is today. But I started there, and I've since come to GDQ and done basically all the tech. Well, not quite all the tech roles, but pretty close. And at this point, I've worked my way up to the engineer role with GDQ. So, if you start with us, you can learn a lot of things that could apply if you wanted to work your way up in GDQ as well. So, our stage tech is quite similar to how it would be at GDQ, although we actually do a few more things at times, especially dealing with cameras, and we also help sit out with if they need some headsets cleaned off as well. We'll take care of that for them. It's a fairly similar situation as far as stage check goes. But if you wanted to learn the role, you can definitely come and learn it with us. And we tend to do things by game as far as stage check goes. So you show up, you take care of things, and once the game gets going, everything looks good, you can walk away for the rest of the game. But then again, it is a role where sometimes you need to watch that schedule and make sure you're there at the right time too, because As we know, over the last few years, we've had some situations where runs have shifted because of things beyond our control.
We have not had the most fun time with tech issues the last 2 years, or hotel tech issues, I should clarify. So it's been a time.
Yeah, not our fault.
But yeah, that's Stage Tech's a good place to start too if you want to look at tech volunteering.
Awesome. Thank you, Toaster. And then we're going to have Ghost Kumo come up and say some words.
Hello, hello. I am Ghost Kumo, and I'm kind of like a community support volunteer assistant. I kind of just help out with a whole bunch of different things with the event. But yeah, so one of the things that it was touched on actually earlier that I did kind of want to mention with stuff is we really encourage anyone who is interested in, if you've never even speedrun before, there's actually quite a few people in the RPG speedrunning community who got their start through us. Like, to just use a personal example, I had watched speedrunning for years, picked up a game, submitted it to Limit Break as my first event, and that's what really got me into the community at large, and then I eventually submitted the game to GDQ proper, and it got accepted like a year and a half later. A few of the runs on the schedule here actually at this event have originally got their marathon debuts at our event at RPG Limit Break and then got offered here. And it kind of, sometimes Limit Break has offered sort of like an opportunity to be like a proof of concept or even just like, this is something that really works well in marathon. So we definitely really encourage submissions for that. As for volunteers, very similar story. There's a couple of hosts on the host schedule for this event who I believe submitted first to our event, and that was kind of what let them, really sink their teeth into, learning the ropes for hosting because, like we mentioned, we, are a good way to get your foot in the door on some volunteer stuff, and I spoke actually to one of our hosts who helped out. It was her first time hosting at our event last year, and then she has gone on to be a host here at GDQ, and getting that experience really helps out to kind of just have a place you can learn the ropes. We're willing to teach new people the works and work with people and help them, even if you're not super confident in there. There's one thing that we say when so Vanny and I actually do a lot of the auditions screening together with Bob. And there are people who is somebody might have a really good hosting audition. There's some that's we say, this person might need work, but we definitely can see some potential in them. And then, we, give them that first opportunity so that they, can shake off some of the nerves, get some of the experience. And then by the time they're done with their event, they continue to come back and submit to host for us. And some even go to submit for GDQ and even get accepted. So we definitely recommend if you're shy, nervous about something that you've always wanted to try, Limit Break can often be a great opportunity to kind of get yourself started on that. So.
Awesome. Yeah, hosting mentioned, so, obviously I'll want to say something here, but something you mentioned, you're spot on, is not only the experience, but the confidence. I take a lot of pride in the folks that I work with in the hosting part of the volunteering, with kind of nurturing them, helping them grow, helping them be better, kind of correcting flaws or whatnot. I feel like that is a very important part of nurturing a community like this, to really give them that confidence, to give them that feedback, to give them the tools that they need to, because obviously they want to do it if they're auditioning, and it's something that they want to do well, and I obviously want them to do well also. And so being able to take the time and effort and care to do what I can to contribute to their development and whatnot is something I take a lot of pride in. So again, this kind of circles back to my department. If you are wanting to be a host for an event like this, in person, week-long big event, then yeah, please don't be shy, don't be scared, don't be intimidated, anything like that. I'm more than happy to take the time to work with folks, even the ones that aren't accepted, because in years past especially, we've had a lot of people who have auditioned and have won and spoke up and said, yes, we want to do this, and that's great. We always love that. But we can't take everyone, unfortunately. We have to be a little more discerning with that. But even for those that don't get accepted, I'm happy to say, hey, listen, obviously I appreciate you for wanting to be a part of what we do, and I would love to have you be a part of what we do in the future. And if you do, then this, and that. So yeah, that's a really important, and that's a kind of a unique thing to the hosting department specifically for what we do.
We do try to make sure that we pay attention to like the people who submit every year, and like there are several people that we've noticed like their auditions, they got better with experience, and they've submitted better and better auditions each year. So definitely like we try to follow along with that development and take note of like where people are improving, and we like to be a contributing part of that. So.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thanks, GK. Very good. So that is as far as what we had planned here to discuss in regards to RPG Limit Break. That is that's going to do it for that part of it. But now, if there's anyone in the audience or anybody that has any questions or want us to elaborate on anything further, we'd like you to ask those questions now. We're happy to talk about that.
Yeah, if anyone has any questions, we can get the microphone at the end here turned around, and we can make it so that you can talk into the microphone.
Okay.
And well, we're looking for that. I do also want to piggyback a bit on the development that the GK and Bonnie were talking about, even in other departments, in the technical departments, because obviously our technical systems that we use for RPG Limit Break are not going to be exactly the same as they have at a GDQ or any other marathon. But still, it's a good place to come and learn the workflow, understand and kind of get your mind around the thought processes and how to think about these problems in a good way, so that even when you go to a different event that does things in a way that's slightly different than what we've done, you still have enough of the experience and the knowledge of how to do and how to think that you can fall back on and help with things.
Yeah.
Like I've been in charge of putting together the RPG Limit Break technical everything for a couple of years, and so coming here to GDQ, where everything is completely different, but enough of the foundational principles and the foundational steps are exactly the same. So getting that kind of foundational knowledge is what RPG Limit Break is good for, to understand how to think about it and those kind of things.
Yeah, you said when you were discussing hosting, you said a lot about how a lot of what the things that you and GK Lab talked about were like specific to hosting. I don't even know if that's really true, honestly. Like a lot of the
auditions definitely are specific.
I mean, the auditions, obviously, yes. But like the ethos and like we want you to get involved, we want you to learn, we want you to grow, like all of that, like the general message of what you're trying to get across, that's for everything. That's for all volunteer roles and being involved, period.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah, the wanting to have people. Yeah, absolutely. I'm glad you mentioned that. That is not something that is unique to hosting. And like, if you want to be an interview tech and you get rejected, it's like, well, too bad. It's not like that. No. But I was just speaking personally about the department that I oversee. But absolutely, there is just that very general kind of vibe or attitude about having the people that are, willingly taking the time to volunteer to help make our event actually go, and us in kind returning the support and the knowledge and the wisdom that we can to make them better at what they do. And obviously, the better you are at something, you get a better feeling about it. You get more encouraged to do it, not just for that event, but maybe for other events. So yeah, it's all about growing the community and nurturing them and helping them with what it is that they want to do. And that's something that applies to all departments. Absolutely, yeah. Wow, did we really do that good a job of covering everything about RPG Limit Break? I guess so. Pat on the back. All right. RPG Limit Break 2025 goes from May 18th to the 24th this year. We will be in Denver, Colorado. If you are not able to join us live, you can watch it on twitch.tv/RPG Limit Break. And we hope
Also,
to...
also youtube.com/RPG
yeah.
Limit
Yep.
Break
Hi,
as well.
YouTube.
Yeah.
So yeah, we thank you all for being here in attendance. Thank you all for taking the time to listen to what we have to talk about. On behalf of Ashton Prime, Heroic Spear Gamer, Puexel, I am Bonnie Vaughn. Thank you so much for your time. Take care, everyone.